While I am waiting for my very old laptop to save my document, I want to make a video version of this same reflection that I'm having about the passing of Kobe Bryant as well as his daughter Gianna Bryant. I grew up on him right after MJ, went right into Kobe in the late 90s, early 2000s, watched him hit game-winning jumpers, literally will his team to win, take the game into his own hands, and he had the confidence, and it was just something that was palpable, something amazing to watch. And I think that's one part of who he was, but I think his off the court self was also equally, if not more, impressive. I couldn't help but think of a book by Mark Manson called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I actually recommend the audiobook, very, very much so. But he talks about this concept of what we are willing to suffer through in order to get what we want. And it was something that I really hadn't considered before, but he kind of talked about how he wanted to be a rock star and, have a band and really just get to that stage where he's being adored and loved and that sort of thing. And he thought that vision would drive him through all of the pain of having to book gigs and practice and, get along with his bandmates and all the other administrative bullshit that you have to go through to do anything really. And he said, it became clear to him that he did not enjoy the suffering through that in order to get to the ultimate goal. And the ultimate, what he was wanting was just this end game. He wanted this end product, and he wasn't willing to suffer through to get to it. And I think I'm going to couple that with a book that I'm listening to right now called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Shout out to my buddy James who recommended it to me. And he really talks about that concept as well of taking pleasure in the pain that you're suffering through in order to get to what you want. And it's really kind of this next stage of mentality that you have to really train and callous your mind towards towards enjoying that sort of thing. Almost it almost seems unnatural, if you will. And Kobe was one of those people that did it because as far as like his stature and ability and whatnot, there's tons of guys in the NBA that had that, even stronger and faster and whatever it may be. But he had this next level of intelligence, studious efforts that he put into things, just this will to win, and it showed on the court when he was the one that wanted the ball. He didn't shy away from it, and he won games unlike that of almost anybody else in history. And I can't help but be moved by that reflection when I hear about his passing today, the 26th of January, 2020, as well as his daughter, and think, yeah, like he was 41 years old. He had another 40, 50 years probably ahead of him of a good life. And yet, just like that, it's gone. It's shocking. It's horrifying. And I think the processing of this is, for most people, it can take forever. I mean, I didn't know him personally. I just can only reflect and mourn what I've experienced through a TV set and the influence he's had on my life, which I would say is, fairly was fairly significant at the time. Somebody I enjoyed watching and looked up to and that sort of thing. But the point I'm getting at is he had to enjoy the suffering that he went through to get to where he is. He had to know that every single missed shot, every single time he gasped for air and was too tired to keep practicing and did it anyways, or took 10 more jump shots, or hit the gym one more time that week, or whatever it may be, was all worth it despite the pain. And I think about all of these moments that we have throughout the day, on our weekends, which is something that I'm doing right now, is producing content towards something that I want to build. When I'm not doing it for popularity, and I'm not doing it to be liked. I think most people would that start anything are probably the outsiders roll their eyes at it. I'm sure a lot of people doubted him. Similar story to Michael Jordan in that way, but I couldn't help but reminisce on the idea that we're all going to suffer through this life and the things that life bring us. We may as well suffer for a purpose. And if we're going to treat every day like it could be our last, we may as well also treat every day like we're building something to last beyond the years that we've spent on this earth. And that's what I think of when I think of eternity and heaven and leaving the world a better place and having a legacy, or having being immortal. Kobe's immortal. He'll always be immortal. He will be a legacy, a legend, somebody who will be known throughout history, so long as we have it. And it's not because he didn't live every day like it was his last. He lived every day like it could be his last. So he built something and suffered intentionally, purposefully, through pain and tiredness and sadness and letdowns and losses, to get to and through what he accomplished eventually. And of course, the world would rather him be here, and his daughter as well. But because he knew that this life was for the taking, and he knew he could build something and suffer through for something greater, we're all left with the legacy that he left behind and the example that he left behind, and how many lives, including his family and extended viewers and audience, has he influenced their lives positively because of it. And possibly the most important thing that we can learn from all of this is that he suffered for a reason to get to where he was before his untimely death. He lived as though every day could be his last, meanwhile built something that is going to last forever.